What is up, guys? I'm John.
My name is Chris.
And we are The Heck. And today we're checking out some skip content from Solo Freaking Leveling. This one is Season 2, Episode 4. And I'm not going to lie, man. A lot of times we've talked about this some, like AniNews. I feel like with the cut content especially, he gives us kind of like a lot of freaking information that I had no idea that we were missing out on. And it's been kind of cool because we've been going through it in real time, the second season. And my wife just recently went through all of the second season, got caught up on it. But while I was watching it with her, I realized there's so much stuff that literally, like, I know now because we watched this cut content stuff. But we had no clue watching it. And I feel like it gives you so much more of a cool viewing experience, knowing what all they cut out and knowing a little bit more context behind some of the scenes that you're seeing.
Yeah,
so
very much so.
Yeah, I'm really liking it, dude. So in saying all that, we're going to be checking out this next episode. If y'all are new to our channel, smash that sub button. If you guys want early access to all these videos, there is a link to our Patreon in the description below, and it supports our channel as well too. And yeah, we'll be posting the next episode, like every episode of Solo Leveling, on Saturday nights on our Patreon, and then the next day on our YouTube channel, but edited and stuff. So it keeps you guys from watching them edited as well. But if you're new to our channel, smash that sub button and let's get into this together. Freaking boom! And then hitting that play button.
Good to see the fan service goes both
Straight
ways
up
in
shredded
Solo
back.
Leveling. We're still going through the story pretty fast though, so for a dialogue-heavy episode such as this, I'm sure you can already imagine all the little interactions that were left out. Minor things like Chairman Go's desire for a successor, all the way to the introduction of Korea's former strongest guild known as the Reapers.
Oh, nice. Because we don't know much about them.
Definitely the focal point, but amongst that was a lot of lore behind hunters, guilds, and the relationship between them. So if you want to see that and everything else the anime left out, here's all the differences between that, the manhwa, and the novel. To 82 from the novel. With Sung having just defeated Metis, he was now sitting pretty at level 77.
77?
Wow, what happens when he hits 100?
I know.
1700 XP
Or is it 99?
That's a good
was
question.
The minimum reward for demons he came across now.
I think it's going to keep going. I don't think we had a cap.
Was becoming more and more frequent.
Dang.
They were demons Sung estimated to be as strong as Vulcan. Formidable opponents that made proceeding incredibly difficult.
Every single one of them?
What caused him to truly become hard-stuck, though, wasn't the lack of food or the tough enemies around every corner, but rather the increasingly difficult terrain that made traversal near impossible. Last episode I mentioned how the higher the floor, the more destroyed the environment. Well, here in the 70s, everything was just a fiery hellscape. It was
That's
so
why I got the thing,
yeah.
76, Sung would lose stamina just by standing still.
Oh, God.
His fatigue bar went
wild.
up for every little movement now. This was no way to fight high-level
That makes sense,
and
though.
it
Completely
certainly
forgot
wasn't
about
the
the fatigue
optimal
bar.
way to clear
Yeah,
the
me
tower.
too.
So, in order to progress any further, Sung knew he needed to leave and come back with artifacts.
Okay, because he did go check those shops.
Negligible.
Love me some artifacts,
This
dude.
brings us to the real reason behind why he wants to get reassessed, because where in the anime it's shown to be out of a desire to continue leveling, in the novel and manhwa it's simply because he needs these artifacts. He can't purchase or sell them without raising suspicion as an E rank, and that in turn means he can't clear the dungeon. That then prevents the elixir of life from being crafted, and that in turn makes it so his mom can't be saved.
Yeah.
All this stems from him still being an E rank, so if he wanted to achieve any of it, he first needed to get reevaluated.
God dang, dude, that's a lot.
Such was the conclusion Sung had come to here. Now, there was a small difference in the way Sung's quest reward was revealed, since where in the anime Sung knows he's working towards the elixir of life from the beginning. In the novel and manhwa, the recipe is only given to him after the quest is done.
Oh, dang.
It's the undisclosed reward we saw last episode, the part of the blessed random box signifying his desire. I had totally forgot about this myself, but you gotta remember this whole dungeon was from a box telling him it'd give him what he desired. That just so
I forgot
happens
about
to
that.
be the elixir of life, so as I'm sure you can guess, Sung's deepest desire is him wanting to bring his mom back. What then will the cursed box give? Well, I guess that's for the system to decide.
An
Whatever
item
it
that they
thinks he
need
needs
is
is
what
what
it
he'll
says.
get.
It gives them an item they
This
need.
was actually the reward he chose instead of a shop item because Sung figured he could always just get items from the dungeon.
Yeah.
Plus, with the shop constantly updating with better items every day, there was a good chance he'd just end up selling whatever shop item he chose. Instead, he figured it was best to gamble on something with a bit more longevity. His final reward was the plus 20 in stats, and all that went into intelligence.
Heck yeah.
It brought his status to this now. Enough to make him feel confident against just
Oh,
about
wow.
anyone, so that was part of why hiding his powers weren't a necessity anymore. The only thing he needed to confirm before his reevaluation was whether Jinho was able to succeed or not. So, one quick phone call revealed negotiations went well, and that was all Sung needed to hear before heading to the association. It was at the assessment office that
Peak.
Sung would be looked down as a delusional E rank because time and time again, an upset low rank would come in looking for a second chance. The
Dang.
chief
Yep.
believed this to be just another of those cases, so he urged the clerk to push Sung forward as fast as possible. To him, low-rank hunters like this were people you just couldn't reason with. No, it was far easier to just have them pay the fee and face reality themselves. This particular case had caught the chief's attention, though, because something about Sung's name seemed familiar. That's when he remembered Beck specifically asked to be notified if he ever showed up, leading to an immediate phone call straight to his
Okay.
office. Beck would
Makes
then
sense,
request
man.
to know Sung's rank as soon as it was taken, resulting in the chief having to witness the reevaluation himself. He personally didn't think anything of it, though, because when a similar scenario
Curious.
happened about 3 months ago, that turned out to be a big fat nothing burger.
Mhm.
It was a false alarm just like most of the other
I can't believe
reevaluations.
it's 10 back then. It's so funny, dude.
The
Right?
chief decided to check up on this one then was mainly to humor Beck and the relationship he had with him.
And that's
I
how
mean,
he found
it
out
was,
about it so
after all,
fast and was
quite
running over there.
profitable to be a guild informant. Now,
Yes,
it was
that
during
all
the
makes
time that
sense.
Sung was waiting that the anxiety of the people around him would make him nostalgic. He couldn't help but smile as he remembered the way his own mind raced during this process. He had first imagined all the
Yeah,
possibilities
when you, like,
with
have
his
no
own rank,
idea,
and then extended
that's
that
pretty crazy.
curiosity to the ranks of the people around
It's
him.
like, I could have been an
Such was the
E-rank.
natural mindset for those getting evaluated, and it was being exemplified again by the people around him. The only difference between now and 5 years ago was the presence of a whole bunch of recruiters. These weren't the recruiters you'd find from the Hunter or White Tiger Guild, though, but rather a more parasitic bunch working for the small to mid-level guilds.
Oh,
They
dang.
were a more desperate type seeking just about anyone. Why, might you ask, would that be? Well, because smaller guilds don't get a lot of applicants, it was only natural that they take the initiative themselves.
I mean, that makes
Big
sense.
guilds typically weren't very interested in low-rank recruits.
It's like community
so that
colleges
left a
coming
whole
to,
bunch
like,
of hunters
college
fresh
fairs
to the
and stuff
field
like that,
right
yeah.
out of evaluation.
Freaking
Now,
ITT
the
tech.
reason I call
God.
them parasitic is because recruiters like
Parasitic.
these
Very
feed off
good
the
word
fact
for
that
it.
a lot of these low-level hunters are desperate.
Nibble, nibble.
They know
Oh
they
God, I
can
thought
easily
that said
sway them
nipple.
with an attractive offer, but what they conveniently leave behind is that they're
Look
recruiting
at that
them for
face.
certain
I know,
depth.
he looks wild.
What I mean is that with every small guild wanting to become bigger, they'll often try to clear gates stronger than they can handle. That in turn
Ah.
leads to lots of accidents, and that translates into a high mortality rate.
Damn,
So, with a high
straight
mortality
over
rate
then.
leading to lots of vacancies, recruiting new hunters became doubly important for these guilds. It's the core reason behind why their recruiters are always present here. Time would then pass as multiple hunters went in and out, and for each that exited with a dejected look, every recruiter would avoid them like the plague. It seems as desperate as they were, none wanted anything to do with E ranks. This is why rank is so important, because not only was it the determination of how powerful you were, it also clearly defined how much money you could make. The C
Dang.
rank was the level at which good money could start to be made, because that's the threshold where options started to open up for you.
Ah, that
You
makes
could
sense.
either make money by acting as a freelancer or join a guild and be in a more secure position. Either way, the salary of a C ranker
I think I'd
was
rather be a
typically equivalent to
freelancer.
that
I was
of
not
about
a
to
really
say
like
the
a-
same thing. Yeah.
plus the
Not really
massive
a
signing
join
bonus
a
they got if
group
they joined a
person.
guild. So, this was the rank the nervous guy was hoping for, while the confident one actually came out with an E rank. This led the nervous guy to let Sung go first, bringing us to the whole evaluation process. It's here that once again Sung would be looked down on as a delusional E rank, but since the money was paid, the tester would proceed with the evaluation anyway.
Nice.
The chief would then enter right as the machine was bugging out, confirming the first S rank since Cha's evaluation
Boom.
2 years ago. It's here he would then explain how the S rank isn't an actual ranking, but rather a special grouping for those who can't be measured. So, there's no actual indication for how strong the S rank hunters are in comparison to each other because the levels at which they're measured aren't quantifiable.
Well, but I
The
thought
only
that...
way to know for sure is for them to fight. Now,
Oh.
it was while all this was going on that Choi would be with Wu, discussing both the Redgate incident and the ant mutations. He was basically asking
Freaking
if
ants.
Wang Dongsu was the mystery person, then wanted to know how the investigation of the ant in Japan was going. The former was denied since Wu was there personally, then if the latter did in fact prove ants could fly to other countries, a draft would be instated forcing hunters to fight against them. It didn't matter what guild they were from. Every hunter
That's
deemed
pretty
necessary
wild.
would be
We didn't
ordered
know
to
that.
fight.
Yeah.
It was a mandatory enlistment Choi had no problem getting behind. Shortly after, Choi would hear all the
'Cause he's one of the
commotion,
only people
not
that's actually
because the
been to that
building
gate,
was
right, I
close,
think?
but rather because he had a special sensitivity for these types of things. In fact, despite Wu not being able to hear a thing, Choi could hear everything clear as day.
Oh, dang.
He knew pretty much instantly that an S rank had been evaluated. It was back in the
Whoa.
lobby that every recruiter would be too stunned to move, since this was a level they'd never dealt with before. Like, if he was ranked C, then they would have just formed a line to talk to him. If he was ranked B, then everyone would be yelling attractive offers and guaranteeing him high-ranking spots right from the get-go. It was a chaotic method that actually worked
That's
more
wild to
times
think
than
about.
you might think, mainly because many people preferred to be the head of the snake over the tail of the dragon. That chaos then settled down if the hunter was an A rank, because the A rank was where the large guilds got involved.
Okay, yeah.
Special privileges were given which the small and medium guilds couldn't even offer. Things like a guaranteed position in the main strike force and lots of financial rewards to go along with it. There was also always the option to start your own guild, because when you're at the A rank, you're powerful enough to attract other hunters to you. Not so many as to create a large
makes
guild,
sense.
but certainly enough to establish a smaller medium one. So, what happens then when an S rank is unveiled? Well, none of the recruiters would even try and talk to him. That is, unless they tried to act as his agent. Reason being that they knew recruiting him themselves would be impossible, but perhaps if they got into his good books, maybe they could be the one to send Sung on his way to one of the larger guilds. There was quite a bit of money to be made in being an S rank's agent too. So, the success of that quickly diminished any thoughts of the ridicule of failure, since one was momentary while the other lasted forever. It was right as the recruiters were about to make their move, though, that
my
Choi would
God.
walk in, stopping all of that. It was an entrance that Sung was actually very grateful for, since it pretty much removed all the pressure on him instantly.
Wait, I thought that you just
Choi would
walked
then
right
be
past
so
Yeah,
him,
that's
right?
what I was
focused on
thinking.
making the Hunters Guild the strongest in the world that he didn't even consider the possibility of Sung saying no. You see, the moment Sung mentioned how he hadn't chosen a guild yet, Choi had already started imagining his status as a global superpower. That was how much power a guild with 3 S ranks had. In the end,
okay. I
Sung
mean,
would
that makes
disregard
sense.
Choi just like how we saw in the anime. Beck's timely arrival would indicate he knew about Sung before this, then the random hunter hoping for the C rank would come out
Oh,
revealing
dude,
he got
nice.
it.
He got it. Hell yeah.
Moving on to the hospital now, Wu's first words to Sung were actually about the double dungeon. He wanted to know if Sung was the one who cleared it. This, I believe, is relatively important because at the end of the whole conversation with Chairman Go after this, Sung finally states that it wasn't him. It was a firm response that kept the mystery of the double dungeon open.
Oh, dang.
Something to keep in mind for both the reader and the association.
Okay,
This
okay,
also
because we haven't.
confirmed Sung
Okay.
wasn't masquerading as a false ranker, since if
I
he
forgot
really
about
did
that.
have
We
the
didn't
power he
find
had
out
now,
what happened
both Go and Wu
at the
knew
end of
he
that
wouldn't have
double.
let his comrades die like that. Wu would then ask Sung to meet the chairman, not as an order or a request to an association employee, but rather as a favor of great importance. It was an ask that clearly meant a lot to Wu, since accompanied with it was a deep bow Sung never would have expected from him. What went to intrigue Sung the most, though, was the fact Korea's strongest hunter was there to see him.
That is wild.
Whatever the conversation was gonna be, Sung knew it would be more than just an attempt to recruit a powerful hunter to the association. Combine this with the fact Chairman Go wasn't someone anyone could just simply meet, and that made Sung more curious.
I love
than
how
you
like
can imagine.
jaggedy he looks, you
To
know?
put into context just how significant he was,
They did a good job
not
in the
only was
anime
he
too.
president
Yeah.
of the country's most influential organization, he was also a member of the National Assembly and the country's first S rank on top of that.
Look at his
With
aura just
political and financial
freaking
giants
fuming
across
off
the
of him.
globe begging to talk to him. Passing this up wasn't something Sung believed he could afford. At least not yet anyway.
Yeah, I'm glad he
wonder if he
freaking went
would
to talk
have,
to
Before
him.
though.
the two could meet, though, that there was first a cut scene where Chairman Go was talking to his doctor. It was a scene which not only emphasized Mr. Go's deteriorating health,
okay.
but also his dire need to find a replacement.
That
With
makes
the
sense.
doctor calling it a miracle that he could even walk, the only advice he could
What?
give was for Go to take a break. This was unfortunately something
makes
he
sense.
couldn't afford to do because the guilds around him were growing stronger by the day. They were practically as powerful as an entire country's military now. So, with him being the only thing keeping the
He's such a
association on
badass.
even footing with these guilds,
Forgot all about
to
that
step
scene.
aside would mean to let the floodgates open. It would effectively allow the guilds to do whatever they want.
Yeah, there'd be
There
a
would be
power
no
vacuum.
authoritative figure under which they had to fear repercussions anymore. This is why Chairman Go can't retire, since he's essentially the monolith symbolizing health and power for the association.
Dang.
It was then that
That's
one
wild.
phone call would reveal the
I
potential
hope we get to
change
see
that,
him more in the
leading
anime.
to a meeting where finding a successor was actually the underlying purpose. At first he wasn't planning to do so, but after seeing the determination in the way Sung spoke, Go knew he was someone who could definitely be worthy of leading the association. He most certainly had the power to, so the only thing that remained to be seen was his character. So, as the conversation kicked off with what the association was offering, a good example was used to show the different lifestyle of association hunters. Like, where you'd be hard-pressed to find anyone who even knew Wu's name. Had a person like Kim lived and become a member of the main strike force, he would be known as a celebrity everywhere.
Dang.
He would be more famous and make more money, despite very clearly being less powerful than Wu. Why then would Sung want to become a member of the association? Well, the core underlying reason was, as we saw, balance. Sung was well aware magic beasts weren't the only monsters out there, so he fully understood why such a balance was important to maintain.
Dang, this guy's
He
like
knew
wild.
losing it would mean risking control over powerful beings that couldn't be controlled. This wasn't what Sung was thinking about though, as what he was focused on instead was the successful path only Chairman Go could offer. Any large guild could provide fame and fortune, but only Mr. Go could have you sit at the National Assembly while also granting access to the government, association, and press. It was an incredible amount of influence that only he could provide.
That is
Now,
wild.
the reason Sung's statement here resonated so deeply with Go was because fighting monsters was something he never got to do. By the
What?
time he had awakened as Korea's first S rank, he was already too old to fight in the dungeon.
Dang,
This
I didn't
forced
know
him to
that.
look for
Why
other
has he got
things
all
to
these
do,
scars then?
resulting in the creation of the Hunter Association. So, Go would use his fame to gather all sorts of powerful hunters, establish an association built around him, secure a spot within the National Assembly, then
God,
help
dude.
create laws that kept hunters in check. For as much as Chairman Go had accomplished though, he would always regret not being able to fight like how Sung so adamantly wants to.
What
So
in the
to hear
heck?
such passion
Never knew
from
all
someone
that.
so powerful, well, his weak heart now pumped faster than ever. Despite the doctors saying it was ready to quit at any time,
Yeah, but
Chairman Go now felt as lively as ever.
Yeah, but where did he get all
The
these
rest of the
scars if he never did
conversation
the
went
battles
pretty
and
much as we
dungeons
saw.
and stuff?
Aside from some additional context that needs to be said about Go's drinking
Wonder if he
comment,
likes to drink.
there was an interesting saying that was lost in both
Maybe
the
it was from
manga
other
and
hunters.
anime. It was
very
after
possible.
asking if Wu would join
Like,
him for a drink that Go
getting
would
him in
mention how the
line.
cup size of a man's drink determined the extent of the world he could take. Add that to this scene here, and Go's fascination with Sung's ability to drink makes
I'd be
a lot
liking
more
them big
sense.
cups.
I know,
so.
He
right?
wanted to see
Yeah.
how much of the world Sung could make his own. This serves as an interesting bit of nuance since it ties back to Sung's ability to drink infinitely.
Oh
It's a
yeah,
clever nod I
dang.
personally really like towards Sung's character. The novel then proceeds to rearrange some stuff I know we'll be getting next episode, but there was one scene we probably won't be getting for sure. It was the moment the Reapers Guild got news of a new S rank themselves. The chief got word from his contact at the association, but when he
That
called
guy's
to
just
find out
blabbing to
more about
everybody.
who this new S rank was, his contact not only informed him he'd just been fired, but also took full accountability for the wrong he'd committed.
Oh my god.
As it turns out, Chairman Go found out people were leaking information, then took it upon himself to fire those people personally.
Good,
This
dang.
was something he'd never done before, so the fact he was doing so now really got the Reaper Guildmaster thinking. He couldn't help but wonder if maybe the chairman had some sort of vendetta against him. I mean, why forbid the leak of Sung's identity now when the same measures weren't taken 2 years ago? with
Ah,
Chuck? Combine this with the fact Choi and Beck already have this information, and that
is
really
a very
made it
good
seem
point.
like things were working against him. The chairman
dang.
had also facilitated Beck's departure from the Reapers Guild, so you could say Mr. Go single-handedly orchestrated the Reaper Guild's downfall. Where it was
Wow.
once the #1 guild in the entire country, it now struggled to keep up with the top two. I'm gonna quickly switch things over to the scene with Hwang Dong-soo now because while it was for the most
Beat
part the
his
same, there
ass.
was good reason for the deputy chief asking the question that he did. The reason he wasn't fully convinced Ilhuan was a monster was because clear footage showed him saving people from the destruction.
Oh,
The
damn.
chief had
Whoa.
never heard or seen of monsters doing that, so he genuinely thought maybe Huang was mistaken. Huang then countered by asking if he'd ever heard of a human emerging from a gate, providing a fair
Solid
enough argument
question.
for the chief to accept. He would then say nothing on where Ilhuan was going and instead focus solely on getting revenge himself. All
Dude, he
needed
whooped your
was a couple
ass.
of
You're not getting
artifacts,
revenge,
of
buddy.
which his guild had plenty. In fact, if they added up the value of all the artifacts the Scavenger Guild possessed, the total would easily surpass the annual budget of a small nation.
Good
So,
God.
suffice to say, Huang was quite confident. This brings us
He's
to
like,
Sung's
"I'm
own
rich,"
perusal of
right?
artifacts, leading to that revelation artifacts were expensive. Like, even with 1.7 billion won saved up, that
He said
still wasn't
billion,
enough
but
to
it's
buy
reading
anything
million.
useful. This made it clear just how difficult it was for a hunter to thrive, since
I think he
with good
said
items
one,
ranging
though.
from the millions
yeah.
to billions, there was a good chance a hunter would spend their lifetime
Good
unable
God,
to purchase
that
any
armor.
personal funds alone.
Mhm.
So, with money needed now more than ever, Sung knew he would have to wait for his S rank. The thing is, his official reassessment was still 2 days away.
No, that
There
sucks.
was a moment when Sung believed his refusal to join the association would make that longer, but Go's heartfelt smile was one Sung believed to be genuine. After 4 years of minding hunters and reading their expressions, he got pretty good at knowing exactly how other people really felt about him.
Makes
Sung
sense.
still wanted to do something in the meantime, though, so searching the recruitment boards was the only thing he could do. It was as he did that he would notice a lot more opportunities available than ever before. As for why, well, it turns out Sung's monopoly over C-rank gates had left a lot of people jobless. He had left freelancers without work for a week, and now it seemed like they were trying to clock in some overtime. C-rank gates had zero value to him now, though, so while it would have been nice to freelance in a B or A-rank gate, you'd never find a makeshift squad trying to do those. If you did, you'd essentially be signing up to die.
Oh, God.
So that forced Sung to search somewhere else, leading to his position as a miner.
Ah.
Now, rather than start that and stop halfway through, I think here's a good place to end the episode. Once
Dang.
again, there was an assortment of small cuts and big cuts,
Sung
but
is
overall I
crazy.
think the anime's still doing fine. Let me know in the comments whether you agree or disagree, and if you
Dang.
like the video, then leave a like.
I'm not
So
gonna
he
lie to you.
he couldn't wait 2 days
No.
for that reassessment. He could
Yeah.
not even wait.
Yeah.
He had to go like mine a little bit.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm very kindred to that as well. Like, I'm like, man, I can't even. I'm so tired. Like,
I'm not.
I can't. I get tired of waiting on stuff. I get tired of just like doing nothing. So I could totally feel that.
Yeah.
That would
I'll
definitely
go
be me.
Freaking
But
took a nap or
dang,
something like.
so much stuff that was left out there. Into like, I mean, even the small stuff, like him saying the amount of like drink a man the size of a cup of drink. I don't know. Anyways, that saying, freaking awesome, and I'm kind of like feel robbed again that we got that left out. That was a
Yeah.
really cool saying. I
Yeah.
like sayings like that.
And the
so.
fact that we never knew he didn't fight anything before.
I know.
is
What the
crazy.
hell? I'm like, and still, how did you get those scars, dude? I'm about to go freaking, Joker on it. Wonder how I got these scars? Yes,
Yeah.
I do. I do wonder how you got those scars. He's
Can't
covered
believe
in them,
that.
dude. I thought that he was like an old freaking hunter
Like
from
veteran.
the way back.
Yeah.
That's what I thought the whole time. So now I'm like,
Fought his way to the top.
yeah, but apparently he was just an older age. So maybe he was
Guess
just a straight up brawler beforehand. Then he reawoke and then he was too old. I don't know, dude.
Yeah.
But you guys let us know what's going on with that if you guys do know. But next episode is coming out in literally 2 days, and I can't freaking wait. I'm so stoked. Either way, thank you guys for watching this one. I hope you're having a blessed one. If you need us, message us, and we'll catch y'all then. Freaking toodles.
Later.
Bye.